Good morning. Thanks for joining me for this edition of Status Hearing. Today, I would like to work on some neck mobility exercises and stretching, and I would like to do that in this cross-legged position. So before we start with the neck, some breathing, but I'm going to coordinate that breathing with a little movement in this sitting position so that it's a little easier for you to maintain the sitting position. I don't have a cushion with me, but if you find it difficult to sit cross-legged, there are a number of things you can use. So this is a foam roller, and we will be doing foam roller class here one of these days. So I'm simply sitting on the foam roller. The roller's kind of tipping me forward, which makes it a little bit easier to sit up. The roller just it just keeps tipping me forward, and the more it tips me, the straighter I can sit. So you choose what works for you. And let's just begin with that mindful breathing into the belly and allowing it to relax. And we're just going to gently sway as we fill the belly. We're leaning slightly forward. As we exhale, we're leaning slightly back. Inhale, tipping forward. Exhale, tipping back. You can also do this in a chair, sitting off the edge of the chair, and I've been demonstrating that all week. And one of these days, I'm going to get to the point where I'm actually labeling these so that you'll know which is a chair session. So I'm just continuing to breathe. Exhale as I round. Now let's hold this forward bend a little bit. And notice which leg you have on the outside, because we're going to switch that shortly. So notice how when you breathe, the belly fills and there's a little less space there. A little less space in between the legs and the core. And as you exhale, the belly pulls back, creating a little more space. But as you exhale, the belly is also pulling toward the spine. The whole front of the body is moving toward the spine. And that allows you to stretch the lower back. It's really that idea of pressing the front of the body against the back of the body. So the more firmly, and I emphasize this all the time, I'm not just contracting my belly. I'm pulling the front of my body to the back of my body, and the back of my body is sort of bracing to get ready for it. And that is what helps me feel a good, solid stretch in my lower back. It's that active pulling back of the belly, even in the sides of the waist. And it's that active readying to feel it in the back of the body. And each time I do that, each time I breathe, is an opportunity to let go. So you have a mini break every breath. Now, do we ever think about it? Maybe not. Could you get to the point where you think about it? Actually, you could. So now notice how, use your hand. Well, let's inhale. Let's come back up to standing. And we'll just switch our feet. So the outside leg is on the inside leg is on the outside. Legs are crossed. Again, loosen up if you need to. Use a blanket if you need to. Sit on the edge of a chair if you need to. If this is excruciating and you're not feeling anything from this, it's not helping. It's not to say that there's no benefit from it at all, but if you can't feel into what we're doing, it makes it very difficult to know what the purpose is. So now we're on the other side, and now I'm going to use my hands to just kind of push my hips away from my hands. So it's almost like I'm trying to push myself back into that wall. Now I'm going to use the outsides of my feet to help with that. So the outsides of my feet are pressing forward, and that's also moving me backward, okay? I'm going to use my left foot and my right foot. Emphasize my left foot, emphasize my right foot. And I'm going to turn, again, emphasize. So you can see how my hips are moving. That's exactly what I want. I want those hips to move side to side. I'm trying to get some mobility in those hips. So I'm pushing my feet forward, using my hands to press my tailbone backward, and just moving side to side. So I'm going to stop now on on your right side, my left side. And I'm just going to emphasize this side. So play into it. Use your right foot to push out away from your body. Walk your hands toward that right foot. And notice how this helps you stretch your lower back, stretch into your hip. Now let go of that right foot and press into it again. And let go and press in. Now, once you start to jiggle it a little bit, it'll loosen up. And at some point, you can back off so that you can just feel the stretch. I can just sit right here and feel into the stretch. And that feels very, very different from what I was expecting. It doesn't feel like, oh, an elastic rubber band. For me, in this hip, it feels more like a really tight rope. Just gently, gently pulling on slight, and then I'm relaxing it and gently pulling a piece of clothesline almost. And I'm going to come back up to an upright position, and I'm just going to switch sides. So again, I'll push side to side here, feel into those hips. Now I'm going to use my left foot, and I'm going to push that left foot toward the opposite wall and use that left foot a little more than the right foot. And now I'm feeling it in this opposite side. So I can walk my hands over if I want. I can push backward a little bit more. I can push my foot to the side a little bit more. And then I can just kind of, if you just start to play with this, lean over, whoa, you're going to feel that stretch moving into different parts of the muscle. So I'm leaning forward, and now I'm getting more of a stretch toward my spine in that same hip. I'm going to lean to the side, and now that stretch is kind of moving over now toward the side of my hip. I have a very tight side hip on this side. So I'm going to move over to the side, but you may find that you need that front opening a little bit more. But wherever you feel, again, it's just on the border of pain. It could be painful. So it's sort of like a clothesline rope. And I'm just easing into it and then backing off. And slowly. And I'll come back around, back up to an upright position. Take a deep breath as you exhale now. Just round your back. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. Can you press from your hips out through your knees? So I'm anchoring at my tailbone and I'm almost trying to push my knees away from my body. Now, again, I can hunch. I got to be real careful to keep the shoulders away from my ears. But if I think about pushing, and now push your feet forward and push back, forward and back. You feel how that, it just moves, it helps you move into it a little more. And then relax again, drop the shoulders. Now, do you remember I was talking about pulling the front to the back? Go down to the very lowest part of your belly and pull the front to the back. So inhale, let go of all of it, the front and the back. And now exhale, pull the front to the back and lengthen it out through your knees. Maybe feeling a stretch through the fronts of the thighs, maybe feeling through the lower back, maybe feeling through the backs of the thighs. And then we'll come to an upright position. So the goal there was just to help you loosen up so that you can sit in you can sit on the floor a little more easily. But you can sit in a chair too. So wherever you are, hopefully those hips are a little looser. And we want those hips to be a little looser because we're going to work into the neck and shoulders today. A little bit of mobility for neck and shoulders. I want to introduce this muscle, this huge muscle that we have here. I've just spaced out on the word. I'm so sorry. However, it spans. It's a superficial muscle, and it spans from the shoulder blades up to the chin. It is platysma. Platysma. And we're going to stretch that. And a lot of us, we sit and we look on our phones all day long, and maybe we're becoming a little more aware of our shoulders. But this platysma muscle, it's huge. It goes it's like a big Fair Isle sweater collar. It's just a huge collar here. So when this muscle gets short and we try to raise our head, it can be very painful. And the shorter this muscle becomes and the harder that is to do, the weaker the back of the muscle becomes, and it also goes into the back. Now, I've talked about this sternocleidomastoid muscle. That's deeper to the platysma. You can see the sternocleidomastoid, the SCM. You can see it through the platysma. So the platysma is it's a superficial muscle. What we're going to do is start here by, I'm going to take my 3 fingers and I'm going to press on my collarbone, the very ends, the condyles of the collarbone. As I exhale, I'm going to file down the front internal energy line. I'm going to pin that front internal energy line down toward the floor, and then I'm going to lift through my chin and feel that lovely stretch. Now, I need to lift through my chin because, if you recall, the front internal line of energy, the file, runs down. So I'm going to lift my chin and hold it in one place, and then I'm going to pull down. Now loosen up a little bit. So we can lighten up as we inhale, as we exhale, move it down. And I'm going to encourage you now, start thinking about riles and files in conjunction with each other. If we start pulling down to that platysma, remember for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So in this space I'm pulling down, can you turn your attention now to that space between your shoulder blades up to that occipital bone? And as you pull down here, can you pull up there? That kind of feels weird. You're like, what do you mean pull up? I mean, as you exhale, pull the front to the back. As you inhale, feel that stretch behind the head. As you exhale, let's go back to the front now. Can you pull the front to the back and pull down? Which is a lot like that diaphragmatic breathing that we do on the back when I tell you to pull in toward the center and front to back and down. That's exactly what we're doing here. But we're just doing it with one part of the body, this one space. And take another nice deep breath in as you exhale. Just relax with your fingers and then bring your hands down. We're going to go into the side of the platysma. We'll start with the right side of the platysma. And I'm going to, let's take both sides. Take the hands right next to the chin. And begin to pull down and smile. And release. We'll take it out. We'll do that again. So hands are on the sides of the jaw. We're going to begin to pull down and smile. And I'm going to move my fingers out to the outsides of my collarbones now. And I'm going to smile as I lift through my jaw and my chin. Now notice, let your mouth go. Head drops back. So if I let my mouth go, I'm not getting the stretch anymore. I've got to keep my mouth shut. Never were there better words said. So tilt slightly to one side. And then keep reaching up with your chin as you reach the chin to the opposite side. Now, if you're having any pain here, just back off. And on your next inhalation, we'll lift through the crown of the head and bring back to the front. Let's just do a couple more repetitions there, holding on to the chin. All the way down to the collarbones. Holding under the chin, sliding down. Let's do one more. So now take that right arm to the right shoulder, and we're going to rotate over to the left and look down. Now that platysma, it also extends to the end of the collarbone. So you're going to be able to feel this a little more If you square off your shoulders, sink your collarbones down. Sink your shoulder blades down. And now we're going to do a little repetition. So inhale, relax, exhale, sink the shoulders down and tilt the head. Inhale, relax, exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. All right, now to come out of this, lift your head, lift your chin, lift your chin, lift your chin, and then rotate to the front and relax, and we'll switch sides. So again, I'm going to place my hand on my shoulder. And, this is a great time to point out how you can probably feel your shoulder rolling forward and how you can, you realize like, whoa, you mean that's not the that's not the proper position. When you tuck that shoulder in that little pocket in the back, that's the proper position. So sit up nice and tall, rotate the head to the opposite direction, and then look down. And what I'm doing now is just stretching the sides of the muscle. So when we twist the head a little more actively, you might feel a slightly deeper stretch. So inhale, release gently, exhale. Inhale, release. Inhale, release. And again, coming out of this, we start by lifting the chin, gently rotating the head back to center, and then relaxing the arm. I want to come into one more stretch that you might be very surprised to hear that you actually have any tightness in your jaw. But if you're the type that clenches your teeth, or if you're the type that holds your face real serious while you're working, again, it takes one to know one, folks. So I'm not criticizing by any means, or I would be in big trouble. My hands now, I'm pressing my fingertips underneath my cheekbone. And just opening. Wow. Oh, wow. I'm going to move my jaw, and close. So I can't do that and talk at the same time. I'm open, side, center, close. Now use your fingertips to push up. I'm pulling up. And now press your mandible bone. That's the bone at the chin. Press it down. And relax. And we'll do one more stretch for the temporal bone. Again, you might not know that you have muscles on the side of your head. So I'm going to have you use the heel of your hand, take it to the sides of your head, and just begin to slide your hands back. Slide the hands back and press into your head. Again, bring it to the front. Now you might be thinking, that's just my skull. I have a sensitive skull. You have tight muscles right there. That's why you're feeling that. If you do that on the top, you've got muscles up there too, but you got a big muscle here. Just slide the heel of your hand backward one last time. Slide. The heel of your hand backward. And relax. So today we worked some hips. We also worked almost the entire circumference of the platysma, and we also worked jaw and temporal muscles. Let's lie down on the floor. We're going to finish working the back of the neck, and I'm going to have you bend your knees, bring your hands behind your head, just lace them like you're going to do a sit-up. Elbows are going to circle around the head, and just relax your head into your hands. And let your hands rotate your head. So that's how relaxed my neck is. And now what I'm going to do is anchor my head in my hands. As I exhale, I'm going to turn my attention to my hips, and I'm going to think about using my hips and pulling down on the outsides of my back. The more I let go in my head, and the more actively I tuck my shoulders down my back, the more of a stretch I'm going to feel in the back of that head. So as I exhale now, I'm thinking about my rear external energy lines, my reels. And as I exhale, I'm just pulling down. I can pull down with the outside, all the way down to the outsides of my hips. And I can twist. I'm just going to lift my right hand a little bit. And then press into my little right hip a little bit. Ooh, wee. Feel that stretch down the side of the rear right side. From the neck all the way to the shoulder blade, to the hip. And then I'm going to come back to center very gently and just relax my head for a moment. And we're going to come up one last time. Tuck my shoulders underneath, slide my shoulders away from the ears. Turn my attention to both hips. Pull my hips down toward my heels. Relax my head. And now I'm going to lift slightly with my right hand. So I'm really relaxing with my left. And I can even twist toward the right a little bit. And then bring the head back to center and relax. So come into final Shavasana, just letting everything settle. And again, notice whatever sensations are present right now. You may feel sensations in the front and back of your neck, in your shoulders. One thing that I find so interesting about neck and jaw is that we don't often know what we don't know. There's stuff I know. There's stuff I know I don't know. Well, there's stuff that I don't know that I don't know. And that's probably the biggest category of all. And that is always, I think, the thing that fascinates me the most. Finding out something that I didn't know I didn't know. Such as stretching that space between my collarbones and my chin. Stretching that space between the outside of my collarbone and my aural bone. That's that bone behind the ear. I believe that anytime we start to see skin that looks discolored or it has a funny texture to it or it hangs, I'm not a doctor. I just pay a lot of attention. But I wonder, is it because the muscles underneath are becoming atrophied? If the muscles underneath are becoming weaker and weaker, of course they can't support skin structures on top of them. And the tighter they become, the weaker they become. So could it be that just restoring flexibility to tight muscles could help us firm up crepey looking flesh, grayish flesh, doesn't have a pinker hue to it because there's no blood getting to it. Sagging neck, there's no blood getting to that skin. How is it going to serve any purpose with no food and water? So when I stretch the muscle fibers, I create space in there. And now things flow. Now blood flows. Everything that happens in the body always leads me to some kind of parallel in the mind. Which is when things are tight, schedules are tight, thoughts are tight, one comes right after the other. I'm busy all the time. What happens in my mind if, and it's an if, but if in fact that theory about lack of blood circulation could it be that I don't have a lot of flexibility in my mind because there's not enough space? There aren't gaps where I'm just doing nothing. Gaps in the day. We've reached the end of our time. So bring yourself back in whatever way feels comfortable for you. Bring your knees to your chest. Move your hips around, whatever feels comfortable, and gently roll to one side. And you can bring yourself back to a sitting position. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this was useful for you. And I never know, because maybe it's not easy. I don't know much about YouTube, so maybe you can't post. But if you have any feedback, I really, really appreciate it. If things aren't useful, we'd always like to make them useful. So thanks again for joining me. Have a wonderful long weekend. I will be back on Memorial Day. But if you're not, enjoy your long weekend and have a wonderful day today. Namaste.